Hello, everyone. I am representing here the Brazilian Network for Smart and Human Cities. And I'm going to talk about the IoT and the smart street lighting from a Brazilian perspective, introducing you briefly how is our marketplace, the regulatory and the policy development scenario. Because I believe it's important to how to deploy these technologies in the public space. So first of all, let me talk a little bit about my background. I am an architect and urban planner, and I recently got my master's in urban engineering at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. And my research addressed the transformation in the street lighting sector in the context of smart cities, highlighting the Brazilian scenario facing the rise of LED and IoT technologies. But before I talk about the Brazilian scenario itself, I would like to recap some of the technological transformation that happened in the street lighting sector worldwide. So, it's small. Okay. You can see here the progress of the common street lighting, HID lamps, through the photocell controls, and then the LED. Well, the LED was a mark in the industry, undoubtedly, because it brought, during the process of evolution, durability with a higher lifespan and progressively more lighting output and less energy consumption. Then, we also have the remote management of the street lighting systems that become more and more feasible along the time, helping not only to monitor the energy consumption and identify failures, but also to assist on the controlling of the optical functionalities, such as dimming and color tuning, especially after the latest LED improvements and its controllability. That required a backbone system to interconnect and transfer the information, the commands in between the components of the systems, as Jason told us. And the next step on the latest evolution of smart street lighting was the increasing diffusion of IoT solutions in general lighting industry, and also which led to the development of the connected light system solutions that the DOE, the Department of Energy of the United States, calls. They used these devices to improve not only the remote management of the lighting systems for indoor and outdoor applications, but also to use other IoT devices to track other urban systems, such as environmental sensors and cameras for safety and traffic monitoring, such as Jason also said. They also needed the secondary system for communicating that allows all this data to be transferred and analyzed in a control and monitoring central. This secondary infrastructure in the street lighting systems, together with the captured data being processed and analyzed in that facility, makes the urban management more integrated and also can improve and increase the citizen participation and create more accurate systems to alert the population if anything is out of normal. That said, the street lighting infrastructure became one of the most convenient ways to deploy smart city projects. But when I say smart cities, I mean integrated urban management. And why I say that? I consider, first of all, that we need to separate the concept of smart cities and the concept of integrated urban management using IoT. They are different stages of the actual definition of smart cities. But I won't get into that discussion to the amount of time that I have, but I will invite everyone to a discussion about smart city standardization in the IEEE meeting that Jean Fraser will going to be hosting this Thursday. And so next part. And why the street lighting infrastructure? The integrated urban management using this infrastructure is convenient because of its privileged positioning, the height and the spread around the whole city. And also, if the remote management system is already installed to monitor the energy consumption and also the failure identifications, it already has the energy and data transmission infrastructure. So we can embed cameras for traffic condition and safety surveillance, environmental sensors, detectors and alarms for atypical events, and also public Wi-Fi and city participation and interaction tools. And by embedding these devices and have all this data being processed into a centralized monitoring analysis facility, it is easy to make better decisions regarding urban management and planning. Excuse me. So there's data is all going to be processed in that monitoring centers. In Brazil, particularly in Rio de Janeiro, we have the Centro de Operações do Rio de Janeiro, which is a massive facility that monitors all the traffic and the safety in Rio de Janeiro, as well as other urban systems like water management and lighting. So here I bring one generic example of a smart street lighting system with the use of IoT to other applications than lighting. It means it's not only for lighting, it's for other urban systems. And then I bring the example how this information is processed in the monitoring center. Basically, they have dashboards that helps to manage the decision-making and the alert systems. And in the other hand, it's essential to consider the implications of the IoT adoption in this infrastructure and in the cities. So here I bring one of the results of my research that I got from my dissertation, which investigated the benefits and opportunities as well as the threats and risks of deploying IoT devices in the cities, particularly using this infrastructure. But you can check one by one later. I believe that this slide deck is going to be available to everyone. So the time is passing. Also, another thing that is being discussed in the sector is the convergence of lighting, energy, and telecommunications infrastructure into a common interoperable infrastructure for smart cities. That's aligned to what Jason said. Sometimes the cities, they don't want to do much intervention. They want to have it done, mainly because of the political reasons. I want to get reelected, and I have a timeline. In Brazil, it's 4 years, right? But I don't know, I think in the States it's the same. But then they want to have the infrastructure, they want to have the smart city solutions, but sometimes they don't have the budget, and they also want this fast, as Jason was saying, like 12 months, 18 months. And then it brings a new role for the different stakeholders in the public administration. When you get out of the silo and compartmented administration, you go into multiple decision makers, trying to come up with a solution for diverse problems. And what will be the jurisdiction of each one? So I'm from the water management, and there's someone from lighting, and risks and vulnerability. How can I prioritize the management and the intervention considering the public budget? And I also want to highlight the role of private sector in the public space. When I say that, you can see the pictures that I brought. I thought about bringing good examples, but I really brought bad examples. So as an urban planner and an architect, this is horrible. This is visual pollution. And regarding the impacts on the landscape and aesthetics of the city, and also to address concerns about the safety of 5G antennas. But I'm not saying here like that, it's better to let it clear that I'm not against. I'm not saying there has impacts, there has not impacts, just that needs further investigation, because the public opinion is very important to consider when you deploy projects into the public sphere. So please don't do that. And now I'm finally going to talk about the Brazilian scenario, and that is where I come from, and the transformation in the street lighting sector on the last decade. So the LED technology was an essential worldwide, everybody knows that. But in Brazil, what really led to a huge shift in the street lighting sector was the new regulation regarding the ownership of the infrastructure. Before, the ownership was the smart street light infrastructure belonged to the utility companies. And then after this resolution 414 from the National Electric Energy Agency from Brazil, ANEEL, set up a hard deadline for 2014 to every single street lighting being transferred to the municipalities. And how the Brazilian cities are going to be able to manage this infrastructure so suddenly? So what happened? In the beginning was a difficult adoption. Lots of cities start complaining, I don't have this infrastructure, I don't have technical staff to do that. But on the other hand, this led to our cities to rethink and reconsider improving the system in order to be more efficient. Having the responsibility, also the cities have more say and more control over the decisions. Together, with the technology transformation that the world has been witnessing, the Brazilian municipalities also start to use and consider LED and IoT for street light modernization. But still, there is a lot to do. Only 6%, I think, from 2019 assessment says that it's remaining only 6% of the municipalities in Brazil that didn't got transferred from the utility companies to the public realm, to the public administration. But it's still a lot to do because of the lack of budget and technical skilled staff. And with this new technology, also we see new business models rose, such as the public and private partnerships, which is a tendency that is supported by the federal government in Brazil, and national development banks and agencies. And also, with that, a new modality of consultancy for the cities who doesn't have the technical staff, and then some agencies and Bank of Development are helping to provide, and the private sector as well. And about the regulation policy making, I think three are more remarkable in these last 3 years. So we have the energy and the telecommunication agencies, ANEEL and Anatel respectively, doing discussions regarding public street light shared infrastructure. So now we're talking about the convergence of energy, lighting, and telecommunications. Right now we are doing public consultation. And we also have the policies, the political stakeholders, which in Brazil are very engaged. So we are a developing country, but we have a first world legislation people, because we want to deploy that. We want to do that. And now we have a mixed parliamentarism, which is Senate and the chamber. I don't know how to translate that one. They are doing efforts into transform and update the legislation in Brazil. And we came up to update the public and partnership law, public and private partnership law, and the new legislation about data protection and IoT, which is fairly recent. One is both are for 2019. Particularly the data protection one is inspired on the European one. And I also cannot forget to talk about the creation of Smart City Chamber, led by the Ministry of Science, Technology, Innovation, and Communication. And that's like my baby project. So I'm involved with the writing of the Brazilian Directive for Smart Cities, led by the Ministry of Regional Development. And the objective is to help municipalities to understand and evaluate smart city solutions. It's mainly based on the IoT and ISO set of methodology and indicators, but I'm going to bring the IEEE one because you have valuable contributions to that. And we can apply to Brazil as well. But how the Brazilian marketplace is adapting for the smart cities technologies? First of all, it's interesting because one of the findings of my research is that the process was very similar to the rest of the world. We see more diversity in the private sector with the startups, and the traditional companies are rethinking the products they offer. Also, there is a less protectionist environment than the traditional competition in the marketplace between the companies. Everyone is trying to push the entire market up by sharing information and open sourcing strategies. Not everyone, though, but we observed that in Brazil we are trying to help each other to make the industry grow in the country. And the partnership with academia, which is my side, is also key for the adoption of this technology. The innovation labs, the hackathons, and the research and development projects with the incubators inside the universities also help structure the marketplace. And there's another important factor that has an effective and direct impact for the Brazilian industry sectors towards the digital transformation: the role of the development banks. In Brazil, we have the National Bank of Development, BNDES, in 2017, this bank did an initiative writing a Brazilian National Plan for IoT, which is a massive research and assessment with lots of data about all our companies and all the marketplace and all the forecasts. And this assessment predicted that the revenues for the Brazilian economy are expected to be over $27 billion. The bank also has specific credit lines for municipalities and also to private companies to help increase their financial feats, you know. And just to finish, the question is, we have industry in Brazil? Yes, we do. According to the same assessment the BNDES did in 2017, there are 369 leading companies in the IoT value chain in Brazil, and 89% are national. So they work with these sections of the value chain. And in the smart cities field specifically, there's 146 consolidated companies providing solutions in the Brazilian marketplace. And I belong to the Brazilian Network for Smart Cities, and we've been tracking these companies since 2017. Speaking of that, what is Brazilian Network for Smart Cities and Human Cities? We are an institution with 420 Brazilian cities associated. We have academic researchers, organized civil society, private sector, parliament members, and etc. And we also have a partnership with the Science and Technology National Council of the Brazilian federal government. Finally, we also produced in 2017 a document containing methodologies and the Brazilian contribution for the indicators for smart cities. And that I'm going to bring that to you, Jim, in the Thursday meeting. And we have teams to also develop strategic plans to assist cities and business to present sustainable smart city solutions. And that, if you want more information, that's the website. So I'm going to, very quick, I don't know if I have time, you tell me. Yes, there's 2 minutes. I think, is everyone going to have the slide deck? Yes. Okay, yes. So I'll invite you to take a look on that video that I'm not going to show here because it's 2.5 minutes, about the smart city technology demonstration environment in Rio de Janeiro, in Metro, Institute of Metrology. So I want to thank everyone. I appreciate all your time. And I want to thank the ARC Advisory Group in the name of Jim Fraser and Rob D'Angelo, and the Brazilian Network for Smart and Human Cities, and also SPIN, Urban Solutions, and the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Thank you very much.